Hello everyone, it's Friday once again, so you know what that means. It's time for edition 87 of Artisan Weekly. It's been another really great week in the Laravel and PHP world. Plenty of content out there. We've had Twitter posts, blog posts, new packages, YouTube videos, everything. So yeah, there's plenty to dig into this week. But also don't forget, we've got Laravel Live UK in 2 weeks' time. And they've just announced Aaron Francis is going to be there giving a talk. So if you've not got your ticket yet and you've never seen Aaron give a talk in person and get the opportunity to chat to him, I recommend grabbing a ticket now while you can. So yeah, let's dig into this week's top 10. So in first place this week, we've got this Twitter post by Alexandre. Now, if you've not following Alexandre, he's been doing some excellent posts, in-depth, kind of PHP related stuff, going on some of the things that happen behind the scenes. Now this one is interesting because it talks about timing attacks and how as PHP developers we might not necessarily be protecting ourselves against them. So yeah, it shows an example of how this can happen in PHP with some of the methods you might be using. And why we shouldn't be using them. But if you're not given his Twitter account to follow, I do recommend you go over and do that because there is so much good content. He's posting so much good content, honestly. Then next up, we've got a new package by Wendell. Now, if you don't know Wendell, he's one of the Laravel core team, and this package called Expressive. When I saw this, first of all, it reminded me straight away of entities in Cake PHP, which are kind of like value objects. So Cake has this nice way of separating the database logic with the actual entity, whereas obviously in Laravel we've got our eloquent model, and you pass those around. You can build DTOs and stuff like that, but obviously that's a manual step. But with Expressive, you're able to do that. Like it comes with a number of commands that allow you to scaffold out classes, and then it adds, you add a trait to the model, which then gives you some access to some methods then, which allow you to kind of automatically convert that model into an expressive class, which is a PHP object, and then you can pass that class around. So yeah, it's a nice package, and if you are looking for a way to kind of decouple slightly from Eloquent, as in you're not passing the Eloquent models around your service classes, your actions, things like that, and you want more of a standard PHP object, this could be the package for you. So it's worth checking out. And then next up, we've got a post here by Josh. If you've not given Cloud a go and you're a Laravel developer, they are doing some really great stuff. Like this new feature's been released pretty much every week, and like recent stuff is scale to 0, a new $5 a month plan, which makes it really opens the doors to those side projects that you might be running and stuff like that. So yeah, in this video, Josh kind of walks you through how to set up deployments, set up your resources, and how to scale those things. If if your application takes off, you want to make sure it scales. Well, Cloud is built for that kind of thing. So yeah, if you've not looked at deployments with Cloud and you're interested in it, head over and give this video a watch. And next up, we've got another video here by Nuno. Is PHP getting a compiler? Well, I mean, do we need one? That's another good question. In the video, he kind of talks through two existing projects that are going on right now, and gives them a try where they kind of go wrong and stuff like that, and kind of gives his kind of thought on, do we need this? It's interesting because obviously it's great to see these things happening in the PHP space. There's a lot of momentum right now. There's some really great RFCs coming out. There's some new things being added to the language, and things like this might help PHP become more appealable to new developers. Next up then, we've got this post by Sebastian. So you might have come across Spatsy's Laravel permission package before, and if you're not using tools like Laravel debug bar, you might not be aware of the amount of queries it's running to load a page. Like you might be running a number of checks, like can the user do this, can the user do that, and those queries will mount up. Now in this post he kind of talks about these hidden N+1s that you might not be aware of, and how to address them. So again, it's a really interesting post to see how a developer goes about diagnosing, debugging, and fixing this kind of potential problem you might be having in your application. Next up then, we've got this post here by Elisha. So the single pattern, it's a pattern that some people love, some people hate. And again, this is a very similar one to the last post. There was a number of queries that were going on, that were running as part of his sidebar, a component that he had. And it demonstrates how this developer used Laravel Debug Bar to address, to find those issues and go about fixing them using the single pattern. So again, another insight into a way a developer works and diagnoses these problems, spots the issue, fixes it, and kind of improves the overall performance of the application. Next up then, this one is by Herman. Now this was he had an application running in Docker, and he did install or had running the Laravel language package that was compromised. But he was lucky because he had everything set up in Docker. He wasn't as susceptible as some of the other unlucky developers out there. He had this slight layer of security because the compromised package couldn't access the actual underlying outside of the Docker layer. So he couldn't access everything else on the machine, so he was quite lucky in that way. Again, just an interesting post about a developer who was lucky, I say, to not get compromised by that attack. Next up, there's a post here by Freek where he talks about the new application that they're building called There and the stack that they used. Obviously, we know Spatsy, they do a lot of stuff in the Laravel world, how many packages they've got and how many downloads they've had. So it's really interesting to see how a well-established Laravel team who know the framework inside and out go about building an application, the tools they use, the packages they might be running, the choices, like React and Inertia over using Vue, TypeScript and Tailwind. It's interesting to see. Wayfinder, another one, another new tool that they're using. So yeah, if you're interested in seeing how a well-established team, the tools that they use, the choices that they make for a brand new application, head over and give this post a read. Next up then, we've got this post by Bert. Now Bert talks here about how he used to write applications before PHP attributes. So when he was using Livewire, he gives you kind of a breakdown of how he might create a component before. So you can see he's got public attributes here, he's got his rules for his validation and listeners and things like that, all kind of in the class. And then now, thanks to PHP attributes, he's able to tidy this up. He's put his validation here above each of the public properties, and then he's got, like, when this happens, do that, kind of all these attributes are available to him. But there's more and more of these attributes happening in the Laravel world. Like, we're seeing a lot being developed for each new release. Some people like them, some people don't. But yeah, again, if you're looking for ideas on how to write components, and how other developers might be doing things, this is a really good post for that. And then finally, we've got this post by Steve. Now, you have probably all seen it, the rate limiter that comes with Laravel, and how by default it uses the request IP. Now, this has its limitations. You might be working in an office that has a single IP address that goes out, and of course then if you're all trying to use the login route and someone gets it wrong 3 or 4 times or something like that, you could end up getting blocked from logging in. Now, in this post, Steve talks about using fingerprint.dev to give you a better way of rate limiting by an individual user. Fingerprint.dev has a number of things that it applies to a request that allow you to kind of break those requests down from, you know, like I said, a single IP address might have, you know, 50 different users using it. Now with tools like fingerprint.dev, you're able to you know, give those each request more of an individuality, if that makes sense, and then apply that to the rate limiter. So again, improving your application, and not having these kind of false positives where you might be hitting a rate limiter because you're all sharing a fixed IP address. So yeah, that's really it for this week. If there was anything you saw and you really enjoyed reading, please do reach out to the authors, let them know, because you know they'll appreciate that, and of course they'll continue to, you know, put the content out there. Also, if you're not signed up to the Artisan Weekly newsletter, I suggest you do. It goes out every Friday morning, so you get the list in your email. If you head over to artisanweekly.com and sign up for the newsletter, that's great. And yeah, like I said, hopefully I will see you next week, and who knows, hopefully I will also get to see you at Laravel Live UK in 2 weeks' time. Thanks all for watching, and I'll see you next week.